You cannot choose and marry somebody that only wants you to stay at home and be pregnant all day, every day. Hi friend, welcome back to the channel. Recently, Rachel Lindsay and Brian Abasolo, who are known best from being in The Bachelor, actually The Bachelorette, because Rachel was in the Bachelorette season. She was actually the first Black woman to headline The Bachelorette. And she met her husband, now ex-husband, Brian Abasolo, on The Bachelor. I actually watched that season because I was a huge fan of The Bachelor, Bachelorette, but I stopped watching it because that show just got way too awkward and weird and very, very repetitive, so I stopped watching it. But I did watch Brian and Rachel's season, and I genuinely loved it. I loved Brian from the get-go. I thought he was really sexy, and him and Rachel really seemed to like really get it on, and they got married. And up until last year, Brian ended up filing for divorce on January 2nd or 3rd, 2024. And they have been going through this, back and forth for a really long time. And finally, this year, they did finally officially got divorced. And Rachel did come out to talk about the divorce and the process and everything that she had to go through. And she wanted to clear up the air on a lot of things that were said. Something in particular that was said that did not favor her at all. So according to People, the couple who met on The Bachelorette in 2017 finalized a divorce on January 7th. 3 days later, Lindsay, who is 39, broke her silence on the year-long process on her podcast, Higher Learning. Brian and Rachel have been separated for about 7 months. But they still live together, even though they were like officially separated. Separation usually occurs when you have filed divorce proceedings with the court, and now you are just waiting for the court to say, hey, y'all can get divorced. Hey, y'all need to work something out, or hey, this is what we think. So that's when separation actually occurs. So this is what Rachel had to actually say about being post-divorce. She says, "It's a very weird feeling because from the moment he left the house after being there for 7 months post-separation, I felt divorced." So that's actually a very common feeling, is that up until a couple gets divorced, the couple have been kind of checked out of the relationship, right? So it's not that big of an idea when you feel like you've already been divorced when you're still living together. So I can understand that too. So for me, I officially divorced in 2022, but I felt divorced for a very, very long time before that. Even before we officially filed, I felt like my relationship was done. So I'm not surprised that Rachel felt divorced even, 7 months before Brian moved out. So moving on, she says, "There's so many things I want to address, but this is all I'm going to say right now. There comes a point in a divorce where you just don't have to be the bigger person. When someone is fighting you on this and willing to die on every hill, not willing to compromise at all, for whatever reason they have, I'll talk about that later, you have to at some point let it go. Just be the bigger person and prioritize what is important to you. Is it important to be vengeful? Is it important to be vindictive? Is it the most important to be hateful? Is it the most important? Just let it go. When you're divorcing or going through a divorce, there is a lot of anger and resentment for getting the divorce. And Rachel here is right. There is a point where you have to just kind of look at it and go, I'd rather be happy and out of this relationship than trying to fight tooth and nail on every single point that you're trying to make. I mentioned earlier that it took Rachel about a year for it to officially divorce. They actually had a lot of things to settle out before the divorce actually occurred. That wasn't the case for me. I did not have to go through all that. My divorce was very clean, very dry, because my ex and I did not have anything to actually fight over. We didn't have any goods to fight over. We didn't have any businesses to fight over. We weren't making a lot of money. So my ex didn't really care about anything that I had to offer him. I'm assuming that Brian is probably the one that made it really hard for Rachel to divorce him, because I think Rachel was the one that was making more money than Brian. So I think he wanted a lot of her money So to continue the article, Rachel says, I really want to start rebuilding and I really want to move forward. I'm able to do that now. And that feels really, really good that I can start the process of like, hey, let's rebuild. There's no price on that. The detail of the divorce itself is interesting because Rachel was asked to give $500,000 to Brian to end the divorce. And that was the settlement that they both agreed on. $500,000 is actually a lot of money, and Brian ended up taking that from her. And I think this is why they had such a hard time divorcing in the first place, because I think Brian wanted a lot of money. Rachel probably didn't want to give him money. So something that we must know about Rachel is that she was a lawyer, and unfortunately she did not sign a prenup when marrying Brian, which was really interesting to me, because I'm just like, she's a lawyer. I don't want to judge her obviously too much, because you know, who knows what's going on in people's heads when they get married. She's a lawyer, and that you would assume that she would know the importance of signing a prenup before you get married. Even I know that. I didn't sign a prenup when I got married because I didn't need to. We didn't have any money. So there was no reason to. But definitely if I were to get married again, I would definitely have to, my spouse and I sign a prenup, because I'm planning on making a lot of money in my lifetime, and I would not want my spouse to take any of that money away from me, unless it's the money from the marriage itself. They can probably take that. But it's interesting that Rachel did not sign a prenup, and now she is forced to pay Brian $500,000 to divorce him. And that $500,000 and the lawyer fees and the time spent. Something that really came out of this revelation from Rachel to me that kind of stood out to me is that before the divorce, even before I think the filing from Brian, I think that people were speculating, or maybe Brian put it out there, that Rachel was choosing her career over Brian. If you guys did not watch that season of The Bachelorette, you have to know that Brian comes from a very huge Puerto Rican family, and he really made it clear on the show from the beginning that he wanted a big family just like his family, and he wanted to just fill his house with children and his wife and just have a, you know, just be a big family. And one of the biggest speculations out of that was the fact that people think that Rachel chose her big career over Brian and over their marriage. I personally don't know if that's true or not, but Rachel did want to make that clear in this revelation. She says, those things are emphatically not true, and to see people run with that because it's a low-hanging fruit and a certain stereotype is really hurtful. I really can't wait to fully talk about these things. The thing about Rachel, like I mentioned earlier, she was a lawyer. I think she's quit that now. She has a podcast. She now is just a big TV personality from law. And then I think that she's made a lot of money from this. She also did a lot of like broadcasting stuff. She's just a huge TV personality now versus a lawyer. So I think that also has to do with the fact that maybe she just wasn't ready to, you know, to build a family with Brian just yet. So as I said before, many really did speculate even before the marriage was ending that Rachel chose her career and Rachel chose this big TV life over Brian. I believe Rachel lived in LA and Brian lived in Miami. And I also think they had pretty much a very long distance relationship because Rachel's career is in LA and I think Brian's career is in Miami. So I think that was also a huge part of this whole entire situation. I think Brian wanted that traditional family just like his parents was, but you know, the thing is, Brian, we live in 2025. New traditions are being made every single day. So I think that was probably something that he did not like. This whole thing leads me to wanting to talk about why society want to make women choose between having a career and having their husband/family. The topic of choosing your career over your marriage shouldn't even be a topic of discussion, but it always is a topic of discussion when it comes to women or women that want careers. Why can't we have both? Why can't women have a career and a family. Why do we have to choose one or the other? I think it's perfectly possible, right, to want both a family and a career. I think that if two people can come together and communicate and share the duties of being a parent and just do it like that, I feel like it's definitely possible to have a huge career and a marriage. Many women have had successful careers and a really tight-knit family. And one of them is Michelle Obama. Here she is talking about the partnership between her and Barack when they first got married and started having a family, which led her to having a pretty big career.
We have to understand that marriage is never 50-50. And, you sort of wonder how that idea kind of got out there. I have found that if you stick with it, over the course of your entire relationship, you may have 50-50 over time. But if I look over my marriage, if I were to judge it in year 5 or year 10, there was never 50-50. Somebody was always giving way more. Someone always needed a different kind of thing. You have to evolve with it. And so, yeah, there were times when I felt like I was 70% in and he was doing 30%. But I think that, and I've had to compromise as he has. I've had to, because of the choices that I made in the terms of how I wanted our family to look. Yeah. I had to take my foot off of my career gas pedal, never putting on the brake, but slowing up a little bit. Those are the natural compromises that are required. And
as you can see, Michelle was able to do it all. She was able to be a lawyer. She had 2 children by that man. She became first lady. And let's not forget that Malia and Sasha were literally children when they went into the White House. So she had to be first lady, take care of her family while Obama was president. So she did a lot to keep that family together and maintain a very successful career path. So it is possible. Another great example of a woman who has had a very good career and a tight-knit family and was able to keep her family together is Shonda Rhimes, the creator of Grey's Anatomy. Here she is addressing that fact in this commencement address.
For me, I love my life. I have 3 TV shows at work and I have 3 daughters at home, and it's all amazing. And I am truly happy. And people are constantly asking me, how do you do it? So women and men of Dartmouth, as you try to figure out the impossible task of juggling work and family, and you hear over and over and over again that you just need a lot of help, you just need to be organized, you just need to try a little bit harder. As a very successful woman, a single mother of 3, who constantly gets asked the question, how do you do it all? The answer is this: I don't. Whenever you see me somewhere succeeding in one area of my life, that almost certainly means I am failing in another area of my life. If I am killing it on a scandal script for work, I am probably missing bath and story time at home. If I'm at home sewing my kids' Halloween costumes, I'm probably blowing off a rewrite I was supposed to turn in. If I'm accepting a prestigious award, I'm missing my baby's first swim lesson. If I'm at my daughter's debut in her school musical, I am missing Sandra Oh's last scene ever being filmed at Grey's Anatomy. If I am succeeding at one, I am inevitably failing at the other. That is the trade-off. That is the Faustian bargain one makes with the devil that comes with being a powerful working woman who is also a powerful mother. You never feel 100% okay. You never get your sea legs. You're always a little nauseous. Something is always lost. Something is always missing.
She also had to make a lot of sacrifices in order to keep her family intact. But she did it. That's the point. She didn't have to choose one or the other. She was able to do both with a lot of help. Should a wife and a husband decide to have a family, I think that they need to be building a community that can help. They need to have a housekeeper. They need to have a nanny. They need to have babysitters. They need to have people that will actually help raise their children, raise their family while they're out making money. And that, in this day and age, in 2025, I think that is perfectly acceptable to be able to have both. I think in order to have both, you have to be able to be willing to hire help and have people help you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do like and subscribe below and share this video to anyone who might want to hear it. Before I continue with Rachel's story, I do want to highlight a very cool and positive comment I got on one of my last videos. That video was about dating trans people and how it feels and things like that. If you want to check out the video, it'll be somewhere up here. It says, being attracted to trans women should not be considered any more weird than being attracted to cis women. The same way we shouldn't shame someone for being attracted to brown-haired women, tall women, fat women, black women, or disabled women. Transness is just another characteristic of a person. Transness doesn't completely determine what type of body someone has. The same type of logic applies to men, to trans men, brown-haired men, you get it. Thank you so much for Sandu Tita for this comment. I loved it. As you can see, a lot of people loved it too, with 22 likes. If you make a comment below and it is positive and it has a lot of likes, I will highlight it in my upcoming video. So go ahead and comment away. Back to Rachel's story. I think that in order for women to alleviate the pressures of having to choose between a career and being a mom or a family, here are some things that I think would really, really work, right? One of them is choosing the correct partner. You need to choose somebody that is willing to be in a partnership with you. You cannot marry or have children with somebody who does not want a partnership. You cannot choose and marry somebody that only wants you to stay at home and be pregnant all day, every day, unless that's something that's important to you. Let me make this clear. If you're a woman and you want to just have babies and stay at home and not work, that's up to you. But if you are like Rachel that wants a career and a family, right, which is definitely possible to do, you might want to just choose the right partner that is actually going to want to do that and be a partner for you, with you in this whole entire situation, because otherwise it's not going to work. You have to be able to choose somebody that is going to be a hands-on partner, that is going to be a dad 100% of the time, not just 50%, not just like when he wants to. You have to choose a father. You have to choose somebody that is not going to be just babysitting his kids, because there's no such thing as babysitting your kids. It's called being a parent. Another thing is just have very clear boundaries. Communicate your work style, communicate your home life, blend them both together. It's not going to be easy communicating and setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is really difficult, but if you want to have a successful career path and be a mom, you need to start setting those boundaries straight away. Another way is prioritize self-care. Like, prioritize what you need from your partner. Prioritize yourself. Take time to yourself. Take time when you're working. Take time when you're taking care of the kids. And I think that should make everything a little better. Another way is challenge social norms. Like, always speak up about your needs. Always speak up if you feel like something is unfair. Always speak up, just like how Rachel did here, because she's finally trying to make it clear of what she wanted and what she is going to do. And the last one is celebrate small wins. If you were able to pick up your kid from school while trying to send that last email on your way to work, good for you, mom. If you're able to come to your daughter or son's rehearsal, the last 5 minutes of the show, you did it. At least you came. At least you did it. At least you came to the show and saw something, versus just trying to sacrifice that part of your career for a rehearsal. So those are ways to kind of celebrate small wins, in my opinion. As Rachel said, I think she does want to say more, but I'm assuming she's gonna write a book. I'm assuming she's gonna write a book about this, and we're gonna know all the juice and all the gossip about their relationship very, very soon. I'm sad about their relationship. I'm sad that it didn't work out, because they were a very hot couple. I really liked them on The Bachelorette. But I'm glad that they are finally over and that pressure can kind of be off of both of them. And I hope that Brian finds a woman that will give him all he wants and needs, and that Rachel will find a man that will, love her and her career no matter what. So what did you think of the story? Please comment your thoughts below, and I will be back with more videos like this. See ya.